Good morning, Bitcoiners. I'm a little early. I'm still testing out the new tech, so that's why I'm early. What I want to know is if this works. I want to eventually get into the whole world. No, that's not going to work. Dang. Dang. It says I can do screen sharing. Window? No. How do I do the presentations? Not sure. Anyway, I do want to eventually get where I can do those, when people put the thing in the background, when they put, and then my face goes a little small, seeing if I can do that. But I don't know how to do it yet on this thing. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to figure it out. We've been tinkering. Right? All right. Let me go back to the chat. Good morning, Christine. Thanks for, oh, geez. That's not what I want. 1 second. Bitcoin Deb, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. I have my coffee, everyone. I have my coffee. B for victory. Bon matin. Good morning, Bitcoiners. TGIF, indeed. Still getting used to the new thing, guys. That's why I'm on a little early here. I've got to put a timer on these things. That's pretty good, though. I don't mind this. Wisteria, good morning, BTC holders. So let me make sure I'm on the Bitcoin Magazine Rumble channel. And then we'll get started. We're ready to go. We'll be ready to go. P-Man, good morning, all. Let's see. Mes amis québécois, j'ai vu que le Parti québécois font quand même très bien, là. Il y a Denis Coderre qui vient pour lutter pour le non, qui est trop drôle. Trop drôle. All right. Yeah, we're good. We got a bunch of viewers over there. So here's the new deal, everyone over on the Bitcoin Magazine Rumble channel. I will not be reading the comments over there today. That's what we're going to do. If you want to be on Rumble and make comments, you got to go to the Count BTC channel. I will put a comment, a live comment. That's what I'm going to do. And that'll be the easiest way to get over there. That's what I've discovered. It turned out, oh, yeah, everyone moved. Okay, great. Everyone's there. So I'm going to make a comment. I'm going to put, here's the link to the other Rumble channel. And you should be able to just click my avatar, the icon. Drew Hadley, the man. Moved on over. Great. Good morning. Excellent. Hilarious thumb. Do you like the title today too? Oh, by the way, the AI wouldn't let me do an African-American bum. It kept saying, no. I could only get a white bum. So that's a form of racism, guys. I'm sorry. Like, why can I put the AI is racist? It won't make black people. I don't know why. It wouldn't do it. I'm telling you, I tricked it. I tried everything. No problem making the other one. But anyway, who cares, right? It's just crap advice. We're going to talk about Fanni, the crap advice that came from Fanni. How many times did they show? First of all I heard yesterday, if you watched any of it, was Fanni. And then we probably saw 100 images of her walking because she came in like Perry Mason, like, I'm here. She wasn't supposed to be there testifying yesterday. And she enters. It was nothing but that shot of her bum. What's funny, apparently, even like the dress was on backwards. Apparently, she doesn't know how to get dressed either. It's awesome. So everyone's here. Everyone's having a good morning. Love the morning coffees with Nolan. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, but look, I think in her own purposes, she won, and we'll talk about that. But not for our purposes, we definitely won. But for the short term, right, for the high time preference people, she'll probably get a bump out of this. She'll probably get a bump. I say Fanny for Congress. Fanny for Congress. All right, everyone, let's just acknowledge. Sorry, the changing systems here, everyone. Thanks for your patience. I appreciate it. I know it's a little different in the morning, that we don't just jump into it. I'm just trying to figure out this new platform. I feel like we're good. It looks like everything's running. People are on YouTube. People are on X. People are on Rumble. The Bitcoin Magazine Rumble people, again, the way we're going to work it, we're going to keep broadcasting there. There's no reason I'm not going to keep broadcasting there. The reason I'm not running my studio out of there and had to create this Count BTC Rumble channel is because I would have to run the studio through the Bitcoin Magazine handle in order to do it that way. And the problem with that is it's not really my account. So I don't even know who runs it. So if someone would change the password, for example, there wouldn't be a show that day on Rumble. I wouldn't be able to do it. So I was like, if I'm going to move over to the Rumble studio, I can't keep doing this thing where I use someone else's account. So that's why we have to broadcast live on Rumble now out of this channel. Mine as well. There's no problem with it. Rumble was always the larger audience anyway, right? We get about over 200 usually live, and we usually get 3, 4, 5,000 replay views on Rumble. So that's the number one dopamine for me as far as this show goes, you know, watching all those viewers and those views. So I love that. But there was no sense in me continuing on not my Rumble channel. There's no reason why we're gonna stop broadcasting it. But in order to be more entertaining and more fun, the comments, because I have to go to the other device to get the comments, they don't come right here on the menu. So anything from any comment from the Bitcoin Magazine channel will just stay there. I'm not going to be reading it. If you want to comment on Rumble, the only way is to come to the Count BTC Rumble channel, which you can access in the comments from the Bitcoin Magazine Rumble channel, and you'll see my little icon and just click on that and you should be able to get the show there. So there, housekeeping. We're done. Let's acknowledge the sun is up, right? We got a maximum sunrise tech operational, Bitcoin running around the world, everywhere. We're doing great. Let's have a coffee and talk about what's new. But first, fake news. Let's talk about the new fake news. All right, we're going to start off with some Russia stuff today. We love the Russia stuff, right? The Russia stuff is some of my favorite stuff out there. So we'll just go slowly, right? Let's just start slowly before we get into the weaponized dolphin stories that I have for you. Russia is developing a nuclear space-based weapon designed to target American satellites. 3 sources familiar with the matter told NBC News. Now, they tried this last year 2 years ago in 2022. So we're going to do a little trip down memory lane from before we were doing everyday live Moscow time sessions. There's a lot of backlog out there of old Moscow time stuff we can get, right? And we weren't around to cover this live at the time. So this is from April 2022, at the beginning of the Ukraine war. I have a series of headlines here. They're awesome. A Russian naval base is defended by dolphins. It's not as unusual as it sounds. Russia deploys, this is from The Guardian, Russia deploys trained dolphins at Black Sea Naval Base, satellite images show. NPC News says Russia deployed trained dolphins to guard Black Sea naval bases. Dolphins. The dolphins. Now, I know Dr. No promised you sharks with laser beams on their head, all right? We didn't get there. We got the sharks and the space lasers. It's pretty good, though. It's pretty good. It's almost the plot line from Austin Powers. We're so close. We're so close. Here's a good one. This is from the New York Post. Apparently, 80% of Americans test positive for chemicals found in Cheerios, Quaker Oats that may cause infertility and delayed puberty. It's not funny. It's not funny, guys. It's not funny. Okay. Don't laugh at people eating that food. It's not funny. All right. Stop. I know what you're doing. You're laughing at those stupid sludge fiat people. Don't do it. All right. You have to have sympathy for them. All right. You have to. Oh, this is great. So this is from Politico. FBI reveals controversial spy tool foiled terror plot as Congress debates overhaul, right? Cernovich pipes in with this political story. So they have all these details, right? In the terrorist case, the FBI official said it, guys. It's true. He said it. FBI official, he said it. That the ability to search the Section 702 database without a court order showed that a person located inside the US was in regular contact with an unspecified foreign terrorist group, had acquired the means to conduct an attack, and had already identified specific targets in the US. So trust them, guys. No one's going to be identified here, but they are telling you that because of their awesome spy tech, they saved you. They saved you, everyone. Their awesome spy tech helped them save you. Trust them. It's true. Cernovich writes, Politico said Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Now they give us details about a terrorist attack that their sources totally stopped. They totally stopped it, guys, right? They just totally stopped. Totally. This one's great. So this is, I'm going to give you the tweet from NPC News, and then I'll give you a little bit of the article itself. Biden aides are preparing for a lengthy partisan clash over the transcript of special counsel Robert Hur's 5-hour interview with the president and its public release, according to two people familiar with the situation. Here's the article. Biden's aides anticipate a lengthy partisan clash over the transcript and possibly the audio recording that would keep the president on the defensive over questions about his mental fitness as he campaigns for re-election, according to two people familiar with the discussions. This is the best part. The interview was a far more freewheeling. It was, guys, Biden is just freewheeling out there. Okay, that's what NPC News is telling you here. It's not. His brain is not turning to mush. He's freewheeling. He's like a rapper. He's a rapper. All right, he's up there. He's just dropping his beats. That's all it is. That's it. He's freewheeling. Right? It's just freewheeling. Right? So they say it here. The interview was a far more freewheeling discussion than was detailed in Hur's report. It's just more freewheeling. That's all. It's just more freewheeling. Okay. Stephen Miller brings up that freewheeling is doing a lot of work here. Freewheeling. All right. This is a pure Moscow Time headline. And when I say pure, there's going to be no context given. I'm just going to give you the headline. All right. You got to find out why it's funny. It's not up to me. All right, here we go. Vox. UV light kills viruses. Why isn't it everywhere? UV light kills viruses. You know, people want to inject, they want to inject a little bit of disinfectant. This one's great too. This is the old pounces. This is Newsweek. MAGA. All right, everyone. Newsweek says MAGA pounces on Fanni Willis' former friend's testimony. They pounced on it. Pounces. They don't even know. They don't even know. So, as everyone knows, Fanni Willis gave her testimony yesterday, and it was hilarious. It was one of the funniest things you're ever going to see, ever in your life, right? It was amazing. No amount of scripted TV, no comedy, nothing else out there could ever prepare anyone for what they saw in the courts yesterday, because it was top level. First of all, you had the so I guess so the whole story is, let's start from the beginning, right? It's Nathan Wade and Fanni Willis have been bumping hips, and they are accused of improperly profiting from their relationship, right? So now everyone else is analyzing this as in like they had an affair, so that's the problem. Right? The problem is not really the affair, right? Don't get tricked. The problem is not the affair. They tried it a bunch yesterday. She started saying, I'm not going to emasculate a black man. Fanni said that at one point, because I guess the timing is that Nathan Wade said he had prostate cancer and couldn't get a boner, and that he couldn't bang because he didn't have a boner. And the lack of boner was what Fanni was trying to protect him from. So the lack of boner is apparently the proof that I guess with the divorce thing. But the problem is he perjured himself because Nathan has already offered testimony for his own divorce case. He said that it all comes down to his wife cheating on him in 2015. They haven't really been married. But again, none of that matters. All right, guys. So anything you hear about when the banging and all this, that's all fake. Okay, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is the money part. The only thing that matters is the money part. The money part being that she would pay this Nathan Wade guy. And we found out is that Nathan has a three-way partnership in the law firm. They've never done a RICO case in their life. This is the RICO case, right? So they had to like learn on the job about what a RICO case is in the first place. Even I know what a RICO case is. I know what a RICO case is because the Montreal Expos were stolen from my city through what the Bronfmans tried to sue the Jeffrey Loria and the Florida Marlins and Major League Baseball for was RICO. So because I was an Expos fan, I knew what RICO was really early on, and I understood that the Expos ownership, which got diluted, by the way. I'm not going to bore you all with Expos history. The Expos let in a carpetbagger from New York, an art dealer, into the ownership group in the Expos in the 90s. And what ended up happening was he had a cash call dilution clause in the contract when he purchased $15 million worth of the Expos. So he didn't even come in for a lot. And Montreal had a lot of rich people running the team, the Bronfmans, Jean Coutu, which is like a major pharmacy, and a few other things. So what he ended up doing was asked the Montreal Expos ownership consortium for cash to buy players. When they said no, the amount at which they said no for diluted their ownership. So he had this weird clause that allowed him to own the team just by asking for money. And when they didn't come back with the money, they did it. Apparently, all of this was allowed by Major League Baseball. And Major League Baseball came in and did a shift where the owner of the Marlins bought the Red Sox. They brought the owner of the Expos and gave them the Marlins. And then Major League Baseball took over the Expos in order to move them to DC. So as someone who didn't like any of this, right, I was very against it because I was into sports ball at the time and I was, still a teenager and I loved my Expos. So when they took them from me, I learned about RICO cases because that's the action they took against them because they said it was a conspiracy. I still believe they should have won that case. So, just so you know that I have a little bit of experience in RICO only because it affected me at a young age with my Expos who I love, right? And I'm one of those rare Quebecers that like the Expos much more than the Canadians, the hockey team. I was always a baseball guy in Montreal more than Expos, more than the Canadians. I like the Canadians, but I was an Expos guy. So the RICO thing, right, is he had to like learn it on the job. He never done a RICO case. He's like a divorce lawyer and stuff. So the funny thing is his partner goes on the stand yesterday and his partner tries to pretend that he's both business partner, but he also tried to use solicitor client privilege to say that's my client, even though it's his business partner. And even though the partner, according to Wade, is getting the money from Fanni as well. Because Wade says his contract, which is like, I think $30,000 or $40,000 a month is the retainer on this file. He said he's got to split it 3 ways with his partners because there's 3 of them in the firm, like Campbell, something, Wade, and whoever, right? So they got to split the money 3 ways, right? I got an Expos cap. That's what I wear. This one gets, see, it's kind of orange. Yeah. This is kind of orange. This cat gets a little sun swept, but I keep an Expos hat around. It's just not here. That's my going to the beach hat because it can't get sun bleached. You do see me wear the Cubs hat sometimes when I forget this hat, but those are my hats. So yeah, big Expos fan, big. I got all kinds of Expos stuff. I'll always be an Expos fan. So, the Fanni case, right? So they get this guy on the stand. He's got to lie the whole time about the date. So he's perjured himself. Nathan Wade has perjured himself. I think that's the end of that guy. And it didn't even look like he got much money out of it. It looked like he's paying like to work here. He even said that he's only got one other client, but that client who gets 1% of his time actually also has a retainer in the same amount. So he doesn't really give that. That's his own problem. I don't care about that part. So he's perjured himself. They tried the solicitor client thing, but then the funny stuff really gets going, right? So she shows up, Fanni shows up, right? Now the fun part about it is that Fanni is so used to being the prosecutor. She's an attorney general, right? Or no, district attorney. So she's used to prosecuting people. So she's used to that stance. And then when she gets into the witness stand, it kind of got crossed wires, right? She didn't really assume the role of a person getting investigated, and that's why she tried to flip it. So it was a very good move by her on that level, right? So she comes out and says, "You're all on trial here." Now, we know people who have functional brains understand what's going on here, right? But I will say, she knew her audience. Jonathan Turley brought that up. Jonathan Turley said she knew her audience. She's not Trump. As long as she's combative, she's probably going to get away with it. Now, the judge, I believe, it's done. Fanny's not on this case anymore. Nathan is off the case. It's not going to happen, right? They're done. I think the judge is going to push them both off, but she's going to be a hero for this. She's going to go to Congress. Oh, well, I don't think she's going to win, but this ain't the end of her thing, right? She did the full gangster 50G. Her language was amazing. First of all, the line of questioning and her inability to answer normal questions like what continent were you on? She doesn't know the continents of the world. Right, we'll talk about that later. Here's, and I believe this is what James Kirkpatrick writes, right? He says, told you she's a hero now, Congress. Look, it's all they can do. It's what they will always be, right? You can't act surprised that common law can't trump some inherent leadership model you see in Chicago or Zimbabwe or anywhere, right? It's going to be like this. Now, if you think about where a lot of this even comes from, right? You've got Beauty On writing, and I think Beauty On has it perfect. He says, this is the result of broken families, broken philosophies, destroyed and unnatural cultures, and out of order people. Pitiful and tragic, and they're in charge, right? And they're in charge. So some of the things she said, right? We're going to answer it since you said it. Don't be cute with me. She started talking to the prosecutor, right? Just crazy stuff. She says, you're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal the election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial, but she is on trial. Okay, guys, she actually is, because it's the influence peddling piece. It's the cash stuff. And this is where we get to the fun part, right? The whole thing about she can't remember cash and she's paying with cash, and then it's cash this, cash that. The IRS, first of all, right? Even the way that Nathan Wade described it, it's a major problem for him. Now, I don't believe in the IRS, so I'm not trying to say, oh, you're going to get the IRS. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff, right? I don't care who's in trouble with the IRS. I'm on Nathan Wade's side when it comes to the IRS, right? So I don't care about the IRS part. What's funny is how foolish every one of these people looked in the end, right? That's where we get the bump here. Now, her own audience is going to love this, right? She's going to be a hero. I think that's what you're going to see. They're going to ignore everything else, but the sheer lack of intelligence and the stupidity and the not knowing what continent you're on was all just packaging for her advice about this cash thing, which is she actually went and said this. I don't know how many times she said as a woman, as a woman, as a woman, as a woman. She started giving advice as a woman to women. She started saying, as a woman, you should keep cash in your house. You should do it for years. You should stack cash in your house. Keep 10,000, 15,000. I don't know where it comes from. She said it comes from a campaign. It comes, all that stuff. You know, obviously her lies sucked and were terrible. But just go back to the actual basic advice. Saving cash. It's the dumbest thing she said the whole time she was there. That's the dumbest thing she said. Keeping cash at your house is for low IQ people who don't understand the game they're playing. The object here is not saving money. Anyone who gave you advice in your life to save US dollars gave you the stupidest advice you ever heard in your life. The best advice you could have gotten in the world that fiat created was max leverage, right? Borrow as much as you can, just max out everything and buy assets with it. The assets are going to go up, and then you pay off your debt and then do it again. Just rinse and repeat, right? The real way to be successful in the fiat system is max leverage debt. That's it, right? Anyone who told you save your dollars was stupid. And if you followed them, you're dumb too. Unfortunately, I've done it. I used to think, like everyone, save your cash. It's a good idea, right? No, dumb. The only thing you should save is Bitcoin, because it can't be diluted. The supply can't be changed. It's hard money, and it makes sense to save, and you don't need a large IQ to get going with it. You just have to save your money, right? That's literally the foundation of the psychological motivation behind Bitcoin, is that a government wedded to power can't dilute what you saved and can't disincentivize you from saving, right? So that she comes out, can't name what continent Belize is on, but also gives you financial advice, right? This is perfect. It was perfect. Now, the rest of the world is going to think she's a hero standing up to Trump. So don't worry about what the NPCs think about Fannie Willis. They're going to love Fanny, right? And they're going to say, oh, she won't, like, you know, go get her, queen. You can save your money, right? It's the dumbest thing ever. So the real story that I saw is that, and most people who are waking up, opening up their eyes, seeing what's going on, not the NPCs. Again, the NPCs are a lost cause. We don't have to worry about the people who think she's a queen and a hero. Listening to that advice and putting it in the context of all her other stuff and seeing what's going on here, we're seeing that the system is actually in complete free fall and is totally a joke, right? Totally a joke. So the fun part of it is they're giving Trump, right? This in the end all goes into Trump's, this is all ammo for Trump. So yesterday he's got the New York case, which is proof of corruption of our legal system, and the Fannie case, which is proof of corruption of our legal system. Not just corruption, it's that the system is completely, what's the right word? Entropy has entered the system so much that it can't even be fixed, right? It's just garbage. It has to be started over and rebooted. Here's what Trump, though, here's where the NPCs continue to miscalculate. They give Trump all of this ammo, and they're giving ammo to a person whose persuasion ability resembles a Gatling gun or a weapon of mass destruction. They're giving the most persuasive person on earth ammo to use against them, right? So here's what he says. Here's what he goes out and says about New York and Fannie. And remember, it's not just that he's persuasive. He's an amazing writer. He's the funniest stand-up comedian in the world today. I mean, some people say it's Dave Chappelle, maybe, right? I think it's Trump, right? Here's what he says. This is the New York one. He goes, I love this city and I love this state. They have to focus on violent crime. You have a new form of crime. You have migrant crime. Migrants are trying to beat up our police officers and they're after me for doing nothing. This is not a crime. And when you look at what's going on outside in the streets where violent crime is at an all-time high, it's a great double standard. What it is election interference. It's being run by Joe Biden's White House, which is perfect, right? That Joe Biden is running election interference in New York, which most people can see, right? You have to be extra NPC to not see it, which is fine. Now, here's the other one when he says about Fannie, right? This is again, Trump writing. It's always great, right? They're talking about Georgia Fannie scandal all over the world. In fact, by far it is trending #1. I can't believe the Georgia state judiciary or the governor can be happy about this humiliating embarrassment. It was a fake case from the start, and now everybody sees it for what it is, a major league scandal. The legal pundits, experts, and scholars are all screaming that this witch hunt, which has hurt so many fine people and patriots, should be immediately terminated and permanently erased from everyone's memory. The stench of what has happened should shame Georgia no longer. It should get back to greatness and fast. It's perfect, right? Now, the other big story, right? So Fannie, I think she's done. I think she'll be here on the left. She'll probably get a Congress nomination out of this, right? She's out of the case, though. The judge is not going to accept it, so she's done. The rest of the case doesn't stop. It's just this is one of the ones that ain't going to move. So, but here's the fun part. Right? Here's the extra fun part. She gives the financial advice about keeping cash and what it means to keep cash, and you know, as a woman, you got to keep cash in case your husband beats you or something. You got to keep cash, right? Got to keep the cash. That's how she tried to say it. As a woman, you never know how it's going to go wrong. The only man who can give me money is my daddy, right? I don't need money from a man. She's paying him, right? This is good stuff. So, but here's the other big story that a lot of people saw yesterday was the Tucker Carlson doing groceries in Moscow story. So, on the one hand, you've got Fannie saying, keep your cash in your mattress. On the other hand, you have Tucker going out and doing groceries. Now, to all the economists out there who keep trying to do these things that say the American economy is great, right? You saw it on Bill Maher the other day. Bill Maher was arguing with I forget her name, so forgive me who I'm wrong, for forgetting her name, but she's like a gym businesswoman. I can't exactly remember her name now. She's like a fitness person. And they started arguing about the economy, and this also went viral. She was saying, as they were talking about COVID, Bill Maher said, oh, we came out so strong on the economy after COVID. And she was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's not a Trump political person, right? At all. She's just a small business owner who probably leans left. And so she's talking to Bill Maher. Bill Maher is saying, no, we came out great on the economy. Everything's fine. You know, wow. She goes, Bill, buy some fucking, find out, right? Buy some fucking eggs, right? Find it. If you want to know how the economy in America is going, any economist is trying to tell you it's great. Just say, buy some fucking eggs, man. Like, go buy some fucking eggs and tell me. And so that made Bill Maher look pretty stupid, right? And indeed, it doesn't take rocket science to understand something's wrong in America, which is why Tucker Carlson's story yesterday at the grocery store went viral. So he bought what he said would be a normal meal for a family of 4 at the Russian grocery store. I've been to Russia. I remember the grocery stores were great when I was there, and this was 20 years ago. And didn't have a lot of customers, but they had a lot of stuff. And so it's totally different now. I mean, Russia's changed a lot in the 20 years since I've been there. So he says he did a family of 4 groceries. His crew all did the same. They did their typical family of 4 groceries. They all guessed what the price was. They all looked at their cart, and they made a point of not looking at the Russian prices so they could convert them, right? So they can do they weren't counting money as they bought the stuff. So they're there, they get to the cash, and Tucker says, we figure each of us, our cart is about $400 US. We bought everything, a family of 4 for a week. They bought everything they would need. Eggs, staples, flour, whatever you'd need. A lot of treats, a lot of sweets. Tucker doesn't eat very healthy, apparently, from what he did as groceries. You know, he's not a Bitcoiner yet. Okay, he's not a Bitcoiner yet. So he does all these groceries, and then they get the bill. He did it with a cheeseburger thing too, right? He gets the bill. The cheeseburger was another video. He gets the bill for the groceries. It's $100 US. So he was off by a factor of 400%. He thought $400. It was $100. It was the same. He went for 2 cheeseburgers and fries. Russia has banned GMO foods. They're banning all this stuff. The fries, apparently, he said, were amazing. The cheeseburger is exact copy of McDonald's. The bill for 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and a Coke was like $3. It was like $3 or something. So he comes out and says, right, that the financial situation in America is because of mismanagement. It's because of the print. It's because of the central banks. It's because of all this stuff. They banned the banks. You know, the Russians, when the sanctions came, have banned American banks. There's no such thing. They've got interest rates at 16% in Russia right now. So you're incentivized to save your money. That's kept inflation low. They have tons of energy, right? It looks like things are going well. Now, I don't want to fall for all of the, you know, like what are people saying today that you see all these. Let me find one of them because they're funny. I think I didn't put this in my notes, but I liked it. Yeah, here you go. So this is from John Lefebvre. He says, don't be fooled by supermarkets and subways in Russia. Did you know they jail and silence political opponents, are ruled by an unelected elite class to whom laws don't apply, have a 2-tiered justice system, indoctrinate kids in schools, suppress free speech, control and propagandize the media, right? So it's what Bukele's been saying for a long time now. America no longer has moral authority to go around the world. We can't criticize Russia. I'm programming the show in Hong Kong right now for Bitcoin Magazine for the show we're doing in Asia. Very easy for me to not take that stance of an American going to China and saying, look at what the Chinese are doing, right? You can't say that anymore. You just can't. It sounds ridiculous. Did you know you have censorship in China, right? Do you know you have censorship and political prisoners go to jail in Russia? Well, we're done, right? You don't even have to explain it. So the reputation with the Fanni Willises and the money, to me, when you think about what's going on with the groceries, they start melding, right? And you start getting into this situation where mothers around the world who for a long time made political decisions on fashion, right? It was a fashion. Politics became fashion in American decadence, right? As America didn't have to worry about grocery bills, didn't have to worry about this, didn't have to worry about that. Politics were fashion. That's where Obama comes from. That's where the 2020 election, which was pure high school politics, right? Gore versus Bush. No one cared. It was all fashion. And it stayed that way for a long time. But the minute the grocery bills start behaving this way, what you're doing is you're making liars and failures out of mothers across America. Now, they can take the Fanni Willis approach, right? They can do the Fanni Willis approach. They can go that way. They can say, I don't need a man. I don't need, man, I'm going to save my money under my pillow. It's going to be fine, right? But that's stupid. It doesn't work. Now, I don't, man, I don't care about who stays home and who goes and works and all that stuff. I'm not gender bound on that stuff, really. I don't care who goes and works, right? And if two parents have to go work, well, that's, it's not great, but people have to do what they have to do. I get it, right? So I'm not saying that it's wrong. What I'm saying is there's things that will change your mind about how this stuff operates. It's not dropping your kids off at school. It's not necessarily having to go to work and who works. Things like you can't produce decent meals for your family can radicalize people. It really can. Tucker Carlson, that was his observation. After he got out of there, he's radicalized. Paying $100 for 2 weeks of groceries have radicalized him. And I think that's what you're going to see across the land. And so you've got, on one hand, Fanni Willis saying, I can run things like a thug criminal. Cash is fine, right? I can run cash to whoever I want. I'm not on trial. You're on trial. Save your money in your pillow and be an independent woman, right? That's one way to do it. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be I'm wrong, right? But the contrast to that, which is they've sold you down the river. They're not here or interested in helping you have cheap, inexpensive groceries that are healthy and feed your family. They're feeding you Cheerios that have puberty blockers in them. Right? That's what they're doing. And if people have been talking about it for days now. The video that Bill Ackman shared about New York in 1930s, showing all these fit people saying, I think our food is poisoning us. The fake news has even gone to run cover on that. It's not just that Bill Ackman tweeted that out. Bill Ackman, who we've watched progress from the worst anti-Trump derangement syndrome person you've ever seen, to suddenly being against Harvard, suddenly realizing academia is a scam. Now he's realizing the food system's a complete scam. This guy's coming alive. And I think he models what's happening with a lot of people. Now, not everyone has to be like him. Just mothers who are sick of feeding their kids shit food because the price of the good food has gone up so much, and the embarrassment that comes with that is going to do exactly what Tucker Carlson said. This is going to radicalize more people. Now, Fanni Willis is trying to radicalize people in her own way, but we're not in a world anymore where popularity or it's cool is going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Your circumstances and trying to protect what you have and being appropriately afraid of the real things that are affecting your quality of life, like inflation, which is destroying your purchasing power at the grocery store. That's enough to change this equation and to even cure Trump derangement syndrome in some cases. I predict that the Fanni Willis grocery store inflation thing is actually going to send more women over to Trump. And that, to be honest, what our political parties have become is exactly that. It's the Democrats, right? A lot of people talk about this. Scott Adams brings it up a lot. The Democrats have become a female-first party with the low-T sneaky fucker males helping them, right? Like, oh, get maximum abortions, right? Like, go girl. Those guys, right? And then on the other end, the Republicans are becoming sort of a masculine, male-oriented party. Now, I don't think these political parties are going to have much in the future going forward. So this is a temporary thing. As we separate money and state, it's not going to be as captured as it once was. So that's what I see anyway. So, but again, right, seeing this stuff take place, seeing what's going on is going to continue to radicalize people. And if the United States is heading anywhere like Canada, the grocery bills are going to get even worse. And that comes with this embracing of the green energy and the carbon tax. Here's Prof. St. Onge talking about it, right? It's a sign of what's coming to America. Canadians are getting crushed by taxes, inflation, and housing costs that turn middle-class salaries into barely scraping by. In short, Trudeau has delivered West Virginia wages with houses that cost us $1 million and taxes that would make California blush. What's driving it is the same as here in the US, government spending and rabid environmentalists who want to return us to the Stone Age, right? So that's Prof. St. Onge. And indeed, it's not on the current trajectory, if you take the design that it is, America is not going to make it much longer. You're going to have people like Fanni Willis thinking it's great, put your money under the bed and we'll the smart people will figure it out. It's not going to happen that way, right? So, but even Canada's learning, right? How many people now, how many mothers and fathers have woken up like feeling like complete losers because of what Trudeau has done, right? Having trouble affording. We see these videos every day, people saying, I can't afford life. Now, the fun part is a bunch of Canadians are now suing Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland because after, if you remember 2 weeks ago, the Canadian federal court said there was no reason to have invoked martial law and the Emergencies Act during the trucker convoy, that it was just a normal protest and there was no reason to get crazy like they did and go after everyone's bank accounts and shut them all down. So there's people now who are suing personally, not the government, personally suing Trudeau and Freeland for what they did during that trucker shutdown. So you're starting to get an awakening. If this thing really catches on, the ability of people to be financially literate, to understand that the government shouldn't be in a position to both dilute your savings and confiscate your money if you disagree with them, right? That's what we got in Canada. That's it, right? We're going to dilute your money, and if you fucking complain, we're going to take your money, right? That's done. So Clown World has been very generous with us lately, and we're doing some major accelerationism here. All right, so let's see what people are saying. Richard King said, Tommy says the Montreal Expos, they were the best. They were the best. They were the best. We miss them. Yeah. And I love their, I'm a big fan of the logos and colors and stuff too. Look at me, I'm captain now. Latest Moscow time on Sailor in Washington. I didn't see that. I didn't see the I didn't see that. Buenos dias, familia. Oh, this one's good. Fanny for the Supreme Court. I'm telling you, she might get it. She might get it. Why didn't Fanny use Bitcoin? Fanny, look, guys, you know, I'm not sure if the low IQ, very low IQ meme. I think Giacomo is joking about being an 80 IQ. I don't think that's what's going on. Yeah. Russians have an egg crisis, dude. Richard reminds us 18 that's what it is. I mean, Big Mac, I only like the Big Mac and the cheeseburgers at McDonald's. I don't eat the fries, they're shit. I don't care what anyone says, they're shit. Food is cheap in poor countries, though. It's not a revelation. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, Austin, you get around a lot, so you see that. But the quality of the grocery stores in Russia looks good. I think that's the thing. They look as nicer and cleaner than most American ones. I could do this in Nostra style of caps. I just want, hold on. I just want to ask if you think there will be complete Bitcoin ecosystem in Europe or US soon. I stack sacks, but when will they become my main? Well, again, I think we're headed to bimetallism, Roy Cup. And bimetallism means kind of like what El Salvador has or Argentina has. It's what we had in America before the Federal Reserve. And bimetallism, and the best person to explain bimetallism is Javier Milei. Go listen to him explain what bimetallism is. He's done it on a number of occasions. And I've mentioned many times Wizard of Oz. The true Wizard of Oz story is about bimetallism. They were not ruby red slippers, of course. They were silver slippers. So the point was silver on gold brick road. And it was to discuss and promote this idea of silver for consumable objects, consumable items, groceries, that kind of stuff, coffee, and gold to save. And that's where we're headed for a while. And I think what you're going to see is fiat money become exactly what it is, political money, food stamps. So I think that as far as ecosystem, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if it's about like, I bought a book with Bitcoin and I had a dinner with Bitcoin. That's not how we make it. We make it when the energy companies have had enough of the Fannie Willis financial advice and start measuring their inputs and outputs in Bitcoin. Once the energy companies realize that balance sheet treasury management, the way MicroStrategy has done it, is the way to go going forward, you're actually going to start getting energy referenced in Bitcoin. So the West Texas price will be in Bitcoin because no one will trust each other's money, right? No one's going to take a quote of oil in US dollars from Russia soon, just like American energy companies wouldn't take a quote in oil prices in the Shanghai Stock Exchange. We don't trust it. We don't buy it, right? So what you're going to get is a neutral money, a non-political money, as just a reference rate for energy, right? So we win literally the day oil is quoted in Bitcoin, and then it's over, right? And then you start timing it where we eventually wind down political money and you just have gold again. But I don't see it. I can't see it that far, right? That to me is still an era away, or not. I don't know. All I can really see, I don't have much opinion past 2028, right? So everything I've said is what we're going to settle into by 2028, I think. But I don't see much past that. After that, I think World War III is over and we're having a good time. Wages are much lower. Yes, Loon, they are. They are much, much lower. Yeah, they're not. It's expensive to them. Yeah. But they keep inflation down because they can raise interest rates to 16%, right? So it's a big difference. We couldn't do that. It would destroy, everything would be gone. I've seen huge growth in homesteading channels on YouTube. I'm addicted to them. Yeah, they're good, huh? Yeah, I like those homesteading channels. Yeah. Animals come and Jason says, I love the Olympic Stadium. Don't talk about that right now. Big troubles in Montreal with that. They're trying to spend like $2 billion to fix it. And everyone's like, just blow it up. Just build something new. Enough. So I both love and hate the Olympic Stadium because in some ways they cost me my team. So money and state are no separate anymore. They are crooks. Yeah, they are. Jumper DCS world. Smash up the likes so we get more educated from this channel. Win-win situation, Mysteria says. They have a they have a 4 patty Big Mac now. It's good, but only in McDonald's. But I eat whenever I take road trips. So I do drive, here and there. And what I do, I don't even mess with McDonald's anymore because they got the A&W in Canada. It's very good. Grass-fed beef. I mean, the bun and the mayonnaise are shit, but that's fine. I don't care. The Russian subway clip from Tucker. Yeah, I took the subway in Russia before too. It's amazing. It really is. Now, everyone comparing. Look, when you do have, well, I guess I don't even want to make the comparisons. Never mind. We're not in a position to criticize. We're not in a position to say, but with Russia even anymore, right? But we don't have. So are the majority of folks in the future going to be actually buying? Whoops, I don't know. Oh, sorry about that, Muslim Bitcoiner. I don't know what I did. Still trying to get used to this. Going to be actually buying non-KYC or even KYC BTC and then have brains to transfer to cold. I think this whole thing falls apart. The FATF. So all the money laundering stuff, right? So let's go here. Here's one of the things I didn't put in, but I can. All right. So, and this is great. So if you remember yesterday, you had another testimony on the House, right? And her name was House, Carol House. So Carol House yesterday is testifying on Bitcoin in Congress. And she mentioned that Bitcoin miners should enforce OFAC sanctions at the network level. So she's saying, in her legal opinion, that the Bitcoin miners can also be counted as money moving entities like a broker dealer, and sanctions apply to them, right? So that's what they were saying yesterday in the House. You had someone there. Now people were making fun of her weight. That's not very nice, right? Everyone was saying she looks like she ate a house and all that. But so that's not very nice, but that's fine. Predator says Carol House tells Congress that Bitcoin miners should enforce OFAC sanctions at the network level. So I don't know much about this House lady. I read a bunch of comments. There were people who said she's not as mentally ill as she sounds. She's actually just made an innocent mistake, and she's not like that. But here's the thing, right? Go back to Janet Yellen yesterday carrying water for Joe Biden. Go back to Fanni Willis. Go back to what we saw with the Emergencies Act in Canada. The credibility of these third-party organizers is at an all-time zero. And the money laundering one is among the worst. So I think, I'm willing to bet real Bitcoin on this. Well, I mean, literally, I'm betting my whole career on this. That FinTrack, FinCEN, OFAC, all these motherfuckers are done within the next election cycle and done forever. So there'll be no more money laundering. I believe that from the beginning. It's one of my initial leaps of faith with Bitcoin, that the money laundering, that's how I got into Bitcoin, right? I got into Bitcoin by seeing how corrupted our anti-money laundering regime was, and how useless it was, and what a big waste of time it was. And that's how I was introduced to Bitcoin in 2012. I literally came into it trying to attack these institutions politically, because they were already on the outs with a mildly populist libertarian government that I worked for in Canada at the time, which was the Stephen Harper government. And he was very open to getting rid of this thing. I mean, he believed it to be exactly what most Bitcoiners believe it to be, which is a power grab in the wake of 9/11, and one of the worst things we've done. So that it's actually how I got the Bitcoin study going, right? There were so many people in the Conservative Party of Canada at the time that wanted to destroy forever OFAC, FinCEN, FinTrack, all this shit, FATF. And because we couldn't kill it, we came close. I came close to killing it, like really close. I got cheated out of killing it by shenanigans. The RCMP in Canada organized not secret, I knew about it, a private meeting with the senators from both parties in Canada, and I was specifically banned. They were not allowing me in the room. They said senators only, which is very rare. I was usually allowed into senator-only environments in Ottawa, because everyone knew what my real job was, which was, working for the prime minister, and very undemocratic stuff, by the way. That's the way it works, right? The executive branch puts people into the legislative branch to mold and shape studies, and that's what I did, right? That was my job, to get headlines and basically run propaganda. So and that's why I got into the thing with the FinCEN and FinTrack. What we were hearing so the way Canadian federalism works compared to American is that it's almost an exact copy of the separation of powers in Canada, except banking is reversed. Banking is a federal competency in Canada, not state. And so you can regulate the banks from the federal level. But what we were hearing from the state chartered, the provincially chartered co-ops, a big one being the Caisse Populaire du Desjardins du Québec. Quebec has a huge banking sector that's not part of the federal banking entity. It's part of the state chartered co-op banks. There are co-op banks across Canada. All of them are provincially chartered. What we were hearing from the provincially chartered banks was that they couldn't do compliance as efficiently, compliance for FinCEN and FinTrack and all this stuff, as efficiently as the corporate federal banks, because they can corporatize it in Toronto in the head office, and they can share the work. Now, the business model of the state co-op banks are that in the regions, they can't share compliance officers. Every franchise, right? Every franchise is the wrong word. I'm trying to translate from French. Every branch is also not the right word. You have to buy a membership in your local branch, it's like $5, and you never get it back, but you're a member, a part owner of the co-op, really. And but you don't get anything for it. They're not able to, because of this ownership model, put all of their compliance in a head office. They have to handle it at the branch level, which means a lot of redundancy. So I didn't know anything about money laundering, really. What I heard was a political thing where some far off institution in Paris with its branch in Ottawa was telling all the rural co-ops what to do. So from a political point of view, that was interesting. It was like, wow, we can get headlines from this, right? We don't like this. And we were populist in that way. We were very much a states' rights government, right? That was sort of a principle. That's how I got involved with the Conservatives in the first place. I hated the Liberals so much after what we called the scandale des commandites in Quebec, which is the sponsorship scandal, where the Liberal government at the time was paying off corrupt marketers to promote Canada. Speaking of expos, if you remember all the old expos videos, there was a Canadian flag on the home run wall. That was a big part of their money laundering. That they paid like a fortune for that stupid flag in the home run thing, and that was part of their. And they paid in like Fanni with cash. They were paying like Fanni with cash. And what it ended up doing was it resuscitated what had become a dormant Quebec separatist movement at the time. And that bothered me because I'd been out of the country, and then I come back and these motherfuckers were back. Now I'm a sovereignist. Now I'm 100% fuck Canada. I'm voting. It's becoming a thing again in Quebec, by the way. And by the way, I reached out to the Parti Québécois and I told them, I got an idea of how you can make a country, by the way. call me, all right? I think it's going to work. I think we're going to do it. So Quebec, that's what got me interested in even, I didn't even think about politics until all this stuff. That's what got me interested, and it was a states' rights thing, and the Conservative government was promising all kinds of states' rights for Quebec. And slowly over time, I've moved from being Canadian-ish, I'm an English Quebecer, and I've lived in Japan, I've lived in Korea, I've lived in France, I live in this island, I live in the States. The worst culture shock I ever had, and it's not even close, was moving to Ontario for college. What the hell is wrong with these people? I got carded. We don't get carded in Quebec. There's no drinking age in Quebec. I worked at a bar when I was 12 years old in Quebec. Are you kidding me? No one carded you. It's like Europe. No one's going to be like, you got an ID to get in, right? Never. Bar fights all over Waterloo. I hated it. I only made it 2 years at college down there. I had to move to France. That's why I moved to France. I was so sick of these stupid English people that I had to move to France to get away from them, right? And when I arrived in France and moved to Korea right after, that's what radicalized me towards being more pro-American, more libertarian, more small government. And when I returned to Canada and saw what they had done with the sponsorship scandal, I'm telling you that movement of the Stephen Harper 2006 time was proto-Trump stuff. The prime minister, who lives in my town, Paul Martin, right? All these motherfuckers live in my town in Canada. And so I see this guy all the time, right? And I'd seen him before when he was prime minister all the time too. He had U2, Bono campaigning for him. No one thought we were going to win. They called us every Nazi name in the book, and we won, right? We won. And so it was a great time. We had a lot of fun. But they screwed it up. The Conservatives were the stupidest party in the end because they finally won a majority in 2011. And what did they do? I told them right away when we won in 2011, destroy the CBC. You don't even want to fight them in the future. They're just going to be toxic again. We let it all go. It's stupid waste of time. That's why I got into Bitcoin. I knew that it was never getting fixed. Politics were broken. I had a front row seat. I saw it. There was no convincing me that the system had any viability going forward or could be fixed. There was no fixing it, right? And then we're here, right? That's how we get to Bitcoin. So when I hear someone like Carol House telling us that Bitcoin miners have to follow the sanction thing, Chalk that all up to the Fanni Willis. These guys have no more credibility. What you're actually watching is a system get destroyed. And so when you worry, Muslim Bitcoiner, about KYC Bitcoin, there's no one going to be taking KYC. That's finished. We're going to destroy it. It's going to be gone. And they're going to have to catch criminals the old way. How are you feeling about Trump leading? The last time we had a chat, you were more in favor of JFK. We like RFK. I love Trump, guys. I've always loved Trump. My only problem with Trump is that he's old. And I didn't forgive him for his last day in office, for not pardoning people who could have helped him. Assange, Snowden, Ross. But what happens with him joining with Vivek is that Vivek cleaned up the Ross thing right away. Trump came out. The minute Vivek goes behind the curtain with Trump after he drops out of the race, Trump says, day one, I pardon Assange. Day one. Not if I win, day one, right? That cleans it up to me. I forgive him for it now, right? So I forgive him for that. That was my only problem with Trump, was his last day in office. Literally my only problem, right? The last day in office was the only problem. And that he causes mental illness, right? It's expensive. Trump is expensive if you're going to support him. I mean, how many friends have you all lost, right? How many friends can I just go back and hang out with from 2015 and before? The answer is like 5, right? I had to give up most of my friends because they have TDS. Most, not 1 or 2, right? Now, these people are, unfortunately, NPC sludge people anyway, but I love them and I grew up with them and they're my friends, but they still believe the news. Not a good look, right? So, a lot of people had to do that. And so you don't necessarily want to pay the price. I love Trump. I've never stopped loving him, and I hope everyone is aware of that. But there's a price. And Vivek doesn't induce the same mental illness. I don't have to explain what Vivek meant and this and that. So to me, Vivek is the cure for TDS because he can do the same thing without inducing it. So I'm very bullish on the two of them. I think RFK continues to be one of the most important characters in this whole story. There's a huge role for him going forward. He could still win. The path to victory is still there. So I wouldn't close the path to victory. And if he would win, I wouldn't complain, right? I wouldn't complain. I still think he's going to get a role in the Trump administration. It's an important one because Trump can't space drop criminals who ran PSYOPs alone. He needs Democrat support, and RFK can be the right person to do that, right? Because some people are going to have to be dropped from space for all of this. Fanni doesn't have to get dropped, but there's other people who are going to get dropped. I told you yesterday, Zihan blocked me for saying the penalty for PSYOPs was space drops. Can you believe that? So if he ever says anything relevant, you got to send it to me because I don't have any eyes on him anymore. The same with that stupid guy from Canada too. What's his name? JP Conning. JP, where are my glasses? I want to pretend to be a Montreal hipster. All right, bimetallism. Yes, we love bimetallism. We love it. I don't like how I share the quotes here. But if they kill on and off ramps, they don't have the competency to do so. And they would have to kill, they don't have the capacity. They could try, right? They could try. I just don't think it's going to work out. If the gov trying to choke minor. So all you need to know there, and this is the important thing. So I am writing the Bitcoiner's Guide to US 2024 elections. I have it divided in 3 parts. The first part is the people, right? So the people. And it's almost like a baseball card approach, right? Like I'll tell you what I have for subjects. So it's their context, their 2024 context, their superpower as a candidate, their generation, that's important. Simulation says, so the weird simulation winks around their candidacy, their path to victory, and their Bitcoin policy. So I do that for, I'm doing that for RFK, Vivek, Trump, Biden, Hillary, Gavin Fetterman and their own thing, and Abbott. Abbott is going to be the governor of Texas is going to be a big player. So here's the thing. For that to work, right, to get the miners out, it actually has to be an attack on Texas. It won't work otherwise because all the mining's in Texas. So they have to attack Texas from a legislative, legal point of view. At the very moment when Texas is remembering its power, remembering that it's a state, remembering that it's not a junior club, that it's a real place. And I've long predicted that the state awakening is a big key to Bitcoin embracing in America. Separating money and state means Washington, D.C. and USA Inc. are fucked. The states are fine. That's not their debt. The debt that you hear about the United States having is not Texas's debt, right? So they're going to be able to leave DC with the bag. And part of leaving DC with the bag is saying, beat it on the energy thing, because they're going to back their own issuance of non-fractional reserve. They're not allowed doing fractional reserve. They're not allowed doing fiat. They can release hard money. They're going to release something that is like a volcano bond, exactly like a volcano bond. And it will be implicitly bimetal with the energy of Texas backing it. And they're going to be able to finance the government off that. And that will mean that there's no amount of federal fuckery that the state can accept, because they're going to be going into the balance sheet of the state. So the sovereignty of Texas prevents any worry that I have about Operation Choke Point, OFAC mining, Texas stuff, right? We're in a don't mess with Texas situation right now. And if they want to keep the civil war going with Texas, do it, please. It's like, I want more Fanni. I want more Janet Yellen carrying water for Biden. Again, I don't think I finished that thought. Having Janet Yellen do what she did yesterday, and Biden is fine. He's fine. In fact, I've never seen someone more alert. Remember what she said yesterday? Let me just remind you of what she said yesterday, because it's one of the funniest things you're ever going to read, right? So she says yesterday that, let me find it. She said he's at the top of his game. He understands the issues. He articulates framing responses, real time, interacting effectively, right? A deep understanding of the issues. Now, none of that's true. Like it's categorically impossible. So having her lie in public this way, like just straight up lying about Biden's mental health, is the best thing that can happen to Bitcoin. Because she's the fucking idiot who's got to go and push Texas around because FinCEN falls under Treasury. So she's got to fucking go to Texas. That little Nomi runt has to go to Texas and tell them what to do. Think about that for a second. How do you think that's going to go? Greg Abbott's going to wheel up in his wheelchair and say they'll be at eye level, right? He'll be in his wheelchair, and that little gnome is going to be there saying, you go do things with people money laundering. It ain't gonna work. He's gonna shoot her, right? He's gonna shoot her. So I'm not worried about that. I don't care about federal miners threatening. It's not gonna happen. And if it does, we get the fuck out of America. Remember, I keep reminding people, look at me. My ancestors, came to this continent, right? Guess what I know how to do? I know how to fucking leave, all right? I don't have a problem leaving. If these fucking people keep it up, I can go to Japan, I can go to Korea, I can go to El Salvador, I can go where I am here. I don't care. I can adapt. I don't need to stay in America. I love it. I don't want to go anywhere. I love it there, but I don't need it, right? I come from a long line of people who said, get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiots. And we left. We'll do it again, right? That's the difference between everyone in America. It's not like the rest of the world. The rest of the world has proven they'll sit around and take it, right? That's why everyone in England sucks. Right? Why do you think they all suck in England? Why do you think they're all ugly and weak? Why? Well, they lost a lot of blood in the wars, which is a tragedy, right? But all the people who left were the good ones, the strong ones. Who was left there? Who was the person who said, I'm really happy. This is kind of a good deal. All the competition's gone. I get to be a feudal slave on someone else's land and no one's going to bug me. That's who they got. That's who's left over there. That's who's left. So let them have it, right? That's not what happened here, right? That's not what happened here. What do you think about the Indian people in America, right? Well, they're really smart. Think about what it takes to get out of India, come to America, all that stuff. You think they're going to sit around and wait to be mistreated? No. They'll go to Argentina. They don't care, right? So anyone who's already here has already genetically and in their family tree passed the test. I'm out of here, right? See ya, beat it. Now, and I already lived that. Like, I love Quebec, but I'm not putting up with their stupid shit or their taxes. So I live in a farm literally on the border to scam them back, right? I'm not putting up with their fucking scams. Scam back, and people are going to scam back, right? My whole COVID approach from the start was to just, I opened my eyes and said, they have no authority over me anymore. We're in a no trust environment, and I make the rules for me, and I'm going to protect me and my family. And if I have to forge vaccination documents, if I have to forge tests to cross borders, I don't care. You know how easy it was to forge that stuff? You know how easy it was? You know how many Photoshop COVID tests I have? Right? Just fucking switch the shit. They don't even look. All you have to do is get it to pass their dumb app, and you already know if your thing made it through, right? Like, if the app accepted your fake doctored document, which they did, you were good. I just put it in the app, right? We're good. They were too stupid, and I knew it, right? My plan at the beginning of COVID was never get angry, scam back. Scam as much as I can. Scam it right back. And it worked. It worked. I'm gonna take their shit, you know? All right. So these, you know, it's like a 3-click situation here to get a comment on the board. Mockingbirds are fools for the sake of their failed egos and scared cat vanity. Inversion and misdirection are daily ammo. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yellen said wages are increasing. Oh, goodness. All right. A lot of comments here. I'm going to cut it, though. I missed a bunch of this stuff, guys. During the 2016, I lost a bunch of friends during the 2016 meme wars. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Still blames Trump for everything. I know. I get these. I spend a lot of time at a beach club, and whenever you get the boomers in from Canada, he's gonna get arrested any day. They say, I'm not worried about Trump. He's going to jail. They haven't accepted it yet. Too good. By the way, I just read your NPC book. Thanks, Royko. Jason says, I can't wait to read your new book. Yeah, it's going to be good. When's it going to be ready? Probably a month. I got a few things to do. It's going to be the same as the NPC management book in the sense that I'll recycle a bunch of old thumbnails from previous stories. I don't know if Fanni taking a dump today's one will make it, but maybe. So I will be doing that. I haven't done the pictures yet. I have 2 or 3 outlines with 5 or 6 pages written already. I think I have the whole book there. So it's people, policies. So I start with the people, and they'll have like 1 page each with those skills, right? The superpower things are fun. What are my superpowers for like RFK? What do I say is a superpower? Immunity from accusations of being a conspiracy theorist. You can't tell him he's one, right? His dad and his uncle died, so he can't. That's a superpower, right? I said that was my first superpower that I gave to RFK. You can't call him a conspiracy theorist. It won't work, right? Vivek's superpower is that he doesn't cause TDS, and he can understand any complicated subject within like 5 minutes, right? Anyway, I've got superpowers for all of them. They're pretty fun. So it goes people, then policies, right? So, and the policies I have are like, I got BRICS, energy, CBDCs, federal agencies, citadels, elections. So there's a few policies that Bitcoiners will be interested in. So I tell about the policy, and then I give sort of the reference for each player. So I go back to the people and then reference how they feel about the policy. And then finally it ends with predictions, where I put all the policies and people together, and I sort of explain how I think it's going to work out. So it's a pretty good system. And like I said, it's a Bitcoiner's reference, like it's a Bitcoiner's guide. So it's just the Bitcoin. I treat CBDCs as if they're part of the Bitcoin conversation, though, which they are, right? So, so CBDCs are part of it. Bitcoin Deb says, every breakup makes me even more bullish than the day before. Well, we're winning. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. Make the breakup gay or great again. We're going to get it. Yeah, I have been. I know I keep telling you this, but we're going to get we are going to get a bit of a new background, and we should have whiteboards. I'm going to try and figure out how to get my screenshots on the back too. That might be interesting. I see a lot of people do that. All right. Those are awesome superpowers. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Is there still a banana boat club in Barbados? I haven't heard of that, Connector. I haven't heard of one. That's not the club that I go to. I just go to the yacht club. It's nothing. It's not a fancy club, by the way. It's a fun club for kids. All right, that's all I got for today. So I just want to see what kind of audience. There's 50 of you on the Count BTC Rumble. I want to see how many are still on the BM Rumble. It says there are still almost 200 of you over on the other Rumble. So so come on over and join the Count BTC one. I think I made hi. Yeah, I think that should come in to that one. Okay, so all 178 of you, head on over. Head on over. I just put a comment. There's a wave there. If you click on that, come and follow me on the normal Count BTC Rumble. The reason is I don't get any of your comments on this page, and I don't even get to see the viewers. So it says here between YouTube and Rumble, I've got 100 and something on this channel, and then almost 200 on the other channel. So but I can't see those. I have to add them up by going to two different sources. I want to be able to see it all in one place. So come on over, everyone. All right. I appreciate it, everyone. Have a great weekend. We will be returning to weekend shows, or at least Saturday shows, when the clocks change. Until then, have a great weekend. Peace out, everyone. Peace out.